Some days the trauma's so bad, you just have to grab your emotional support llama. On today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Some days are bad, some days are worse than others. You know, nobody ever told me that golf was a full contact sport. My name's Ray Dawson. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 58. I am the associate broker and residential sales manager for ProStar Realty. And this is Larry the Wonder Llama. This is actually a llama that my broker, Steve McCamey's wife, made. She crocheted this thing, and this is really an amazing piece of kit. I'm just amazed what people can do with a couple little hooked needles and yarn and whatnot. But the reason why I brought out the emotional support llama today is because I had a response, a comeback that I wanted to say. Then my better nature took over, common sense took over, and I did not do the teaser that I wanted to do to respond to various people and slings and arrows of outrageous misfortune this week. But it has been quite the interesting week for me. We had, might have noticed last week, I was mentioning we had a office meeting and whatnot. We went out to Topgolf, where I took a golf club to the eye, which is quite the experience. I'm experiencing some eye problems because of that. My left pupil is dilated as hell right now, and bright light is really not a lot of fun, including that one right there. But hey, I'm a professional. We're going to get the job done today. So the reason why I kicked off with the llama and whatnot is because last week I promoted basically what we call it. It's a landing page. I'm going to do a little post out there, throw a link. Some of you guys who follow me on Facebook might have seen that. And it was basically, a little statement saying, check the price of your house. And click here if you want that to happen. And I got some good responses to that, and I was very happy. But because it's Facebook, and I did it as a post, not an ad, people get to comment on it. And one of the things I noticed about Facebook when you promote a post is like the first day or two it promotes, basically you're spending money to have strangers see your posts, but Facebook's going to make sure that your people who know you see the post first. So first day's response seemed to be people who either are my personal friends on Facebook or people who were following my business page, which is cool. Hi, guys. Then the second and third days, it starts going out to randos in a geographical area. All right, so you can't really specify on Facebook your geographical areas on these things because there's some concern that if I sit there and I go, I only want to advertise in this zip code, I'm going to be discriminating against people who don't live inside that zip code, who might have different demographics and whatnot, and that could be perceived as being against fair housing regulations. So Facebook just came down and said, no, you drop a pin, you go 15 miles out. Anybody in that 15 miles will see the ad. And depending on how much you pay, it depends on how many people see it. So first couple of days is people you know, and then it starts spreading out from there. So the other day I get a notification, hey, somebody commented on your post. I'm always excited. Wow, strangers are commenting on my stuff. So the first one, and I screenshotted these two, and I want so I could show it to you. All right. The first one that popped up was bubble breaking in 3, 2. Now, I have blocked out the names on these things to protect the guilty. First person on this, first commenter, I actually know. I like to think of him as a good friend. I've actually promoted his stuff on my on this video channel and everything like that. But I can instantly tell that here's a gentleman who reads my post but does not watch the videos, because he would have heard me rant about bubble breaking, probably about every other episode by now, maybe every third episode. I'm pretty sure you guys are sick of me ranting about it's not a bubble. I'll let you know when it's a bubble. So once again, Mr. Anonymous Person number 1, it's not a bubble. I'll let you know when it's a bubble. All right. Second one, completely random person. All right. Comes in with licensed realtor, so full of fill in the blank. I think you know what that is. A sit down punk. Now, I'll be honest with you, right? I'm really easy to troll on social media. In fact, it's more of a Jungian shadow projection of Trollmaste. The inner troll in me recognizes the inner troll in you. And this gentleman right there, I recognized a troll from way off, right? One of those cave trolls, the kind that they hang out with in Moria. And so instantly the horns blew, the swords came out. I was ready to go to war, and I had a pithy comment I was going to say with my llama. Problem is, common sense kicked in, and I'm like, let's take the high road. Take the high road, Way. This is a person who's talking ultimately from pain. I don't know what happened to this bad gentleman. I got a pretty good suspicion that he either is what we call in the business a tenant and will never actually be a homeowner and is sort of bitter about that. He might have been a previous homeowner who, for various reasons, have been foreclosed on. Maybe his wife left him. Maybe he lost his job. I don't know what pain this guy is coming from, but I can definitely sense it in there. So my immediate response was going to be troll, troll, troll. And then I, came back to, maybe I'll just wish him God bless. God bless you, child. Then I went, that's still not good enough. So now I'm just going to say snarky things on my YouTube channel. So still have to act out. I have not hit that perfect state of Zen awareness where I do not have to respond to people. But yeah, but this is one of the things that about this industry, and hopefully I've pointed it out enough times, and maybe we should reiterate it right now. Realtors have negative social capital when it comes to a marketing brand. All right. I know the National Association of Realtors would be shocked and amazed and horrified for me saying that, but we as an industry have done such a piss poor job of maintaining any semblance of professionalism that for a good majority of people out there, we're right up there with congressmen and used car salesmen. Right. We discussed this earlier in a couple episodes back. That was the point of the book review I did, that for all this great and wonderful things where how we talk about professionalism, we really don't act like it all the time. I mean, look at me. Is this professional? No. Fun? Yes. Professional? No, not really. But still, it's in the nature of the industry. Here's a gentleman who's probably had a very, very bad real estate transaction, a very, very bad interaction with a licensed realtor, and is bitter because of it. All right? So hopefully as things move on, we can start bringing that all back. So just wanted to get that off my chest. Our numbers this week, going to go to the numbers real quick. March 9th, okay, our actives are at 4,357. We're down 7 from last week. We seem to be bottoming out, I hope. Our new listings are up still at 2,420. We're up 84. So consistently new listings every week, but active listings available, keep going down. Although our pendings did come off a bit to 2,033. We're down 139. That's less houses going pending. Our under contracts looking for backups went up to 1,253, up 72. That's a sign that people who are moving houses in, taking them off the market, are still looking for backups. Maybe they don't feel that comfortable about the buyers in that contract. Contracts with buyers contingency are at 83, down 8, and that keeps bouncing in the 80s and 90s, so that's almost a non-factor. And our closings were 2,186, which is down 1,038 from the week before, because week before reflecting the end of the month numbers. Coming soon? Don't know. Didn't write it down. So that being said, we were covering history last week. We started talking about the right of conquest and real estate transactions as literally going over there, taking the land over by killing the people on top of it. All right. Historically, the primary way people transacted land for a very, very long time. And we covered, the history of Arizona, what's going on in this. So I was feeling really proud of that, and I was thinking about great ways I wanted to continue on with this. And there is a great, stop what you're doing right now. Go listen to this guy. Dan Carlin does a podcast called Hardcore History. I came across Dan Carlin's hardcore history podcast, because all of the really great podcasters, we're talking the Tim Ferrisses, the Joe Rogans of the world, we're all talking about how awesome this guy is. So I started listening to him, and oh my God, you guys think I talk, right? This guy will drop a historical series about, the Byzantine Empire, right? And he will drop 6 or 7 episodes that average between 3 and 4 hours in length, right? This guy goes off on stuff, and it's very granular, very fine detailed, very, very, you will get an understanding of whatever portion of history he decides to go after. You will get like a full-blown, 400 level class in that. He does one on the Celts, right, and the Gaelic cultures in Europe during the time of the Roman Empire, right? Very, very fascinating. If you're descended from either one of those cultures or just interested in that culture in general, go listen to that. In fact, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. It's, it'd be a really good time to do that. So Dan Carlin fanboying aside, he does what he calls a hardcore history blitz. All right. And what he means by blitz is he's going to just do one episode, and he's not going to research. He's just going to talk off the top of his head. And I'm not done with it yet because it's 5 freaking hours long. All right, this is a blitz. This is a short one for him. 5 hours, one take. Well, I can't say one take, but one episode. Right? And he's talking about slavery and the middle trade, how slavery developed in the New World, how historically where it came from, this and that and the other thing. It's a little depressing, a little shocking, but he comes straight into it, and he's talking from the beginning about Columbus, the New World, trying to get people to work on sugar plantations and whatnot, and trying to find a readily available source of human resources, right, read slaves, to work these plantations. Really, really a great read. He dropped that about 3 days after I dropped my last one. So links in the show notes below. Take your time, go ahead and listen to it. But we're talking about Arizona. So last week when we covered Arizona, we talked along, very briefly, discovery of the New World, existing Native American tribes that were here already. All right. We talked a little bit about Cortez taking over the Aztecs, how that happened. And then we started getting into the exploration of the area of land that we currently call the state of Arizona. All right. Now, the Coronado Expedition was the first main expedition that came in. There was another one came on Mesa. He took a little bit of time to himself, and basically sent back reports, but he was mostly interacting over the New Mexico side of the border. All right. It was Coronado that they think actually really truly came into Arizona, and he worked his way up the east side of Arizona, and in between 1540 and 1542 was when he did that trip. Wound up in Kansas and then worked his way all the way back. But he as he's traveling up through Arizona, he's shooting off his lieutenants in various directions, going, "Hey, take that river, go 2 weeks up the river, come back, tell me what you see." That kind of stuff. And he sends over this guy named Pedro de Covar. All right, he was part of the Coronado campaign in 1540, and he came into the northern Arizona area and interacted with the Hopis. Some would say he conquered the Hopis. Some would say he had a forceful negotiation with the Hopis. All right, but he was the first European to see the Grand Canyon. Part of the reason why he was headed in that direction, strangely enough, is because he was looking for the Colorado River, because there was another side of this. So de Covar here, his purpose of heading toward the west and finding the Colorado River was because there was a secondary naval campaign of exploration going up through the Sea of Cortez, up the Colorado River. And they were actually supposed to be bringing supplies to the Coronado Expedition. They just if you guys have ever played Civilization or any kind of video game where you have this big gray area that's unexplored country, and that's literally what the Southwest was to the Spanish at the time. So they knew there were rivers because they saw rivers coming out, of the desert into the ocean. They're assuming, based on what they know about the geography that they know of, that sooner or later that river is going to wind up where they want to be. So there's these two prongs of the exploration going on. De Kovar never did find the naval aspect of this search, because they hit the Grand Canyon, looked down, saw the Colorado River, or a river they assumed was the Colorado at the bottom of that, and could not find a way down to the bottom of the canyon to get to the river. Not that they would ever gotten back out of there if they had gone in that hole. They'd still be there today if they had actually found a way down. But so they turned around and went back to Coronado and said, okay, we're not going to hook up with the amphibious forces. We got to trudge on alone. So that was the first big expedition. There was a whole bunch of little expeditions that also kick off this time. Antonio de Espejo, Juan de Ornado. There's a reason why I did really lousy in high school Spanish. All right. And Geronimo Marquez. All right. And these were the time periods, that big area that I was saying, hey, I don't know what's going on in this time period. This is what was going on. These individuals are coming up. They're researching the land. They're looking for, see who's living there, see if there's any resources, sort of mapping the area out. And like I said, having a education that does not really go into the great details of these little itty-bitty expeditions. Maybe if I went to high school here in Arizona, we would have covered all of this in Arizona. All right, I went to high school in Utah. All right, so I got a whole different kind of historical education because we're covering Utah history. But these are the other little friends. There's also the Fremont Expedition is going to kick off right about now, and I probably should have looked that up because I don't think it's right this time period, but at some point the Fremont Expedition, which is a expedition from the United States, is going to come through. Interestingly enough, the Fremont Expedition is exploring the American Southwest while it still belongs to Spain and Mexico. All right. Guy was, I guess he literally had a cover story go, oh, gee, I'm glad I found you. I've been lost this entire time. No, I'm not, exploring your backyard. Pay no attention to the survey equipment here kind of stuff. But this exploration, this period of exploration in the Southwest is filled with these little groups of people running around, talking to the natives, sometimes getting shot by the natives, sometimes shooting the natives, sometimes trading peacefully with the natives, depending on the roll of the dice and whether or not the individual explorer made his charisma and negotiation roll that day. All right. But this is how we start getting more and more of Arizona proper mapped out to the European powers. So the first, as near as I can tell, actual settlements or anything that came in were missions that were set up on the Hopi Reservation. It looked like they set one up on each one of the three mesas, right? As Francisco de Orabe, Bernardo de Agua Tubi, and San Bartolome de, not even going to try that one. All right. These all came in at about 1629. They were specifically missions to the Hopi. Remember, the Hopi was that group that had been interacted with earlier on before by the Coronado Expedition. They had actually, had an incident with the Coronado Expedition, and the Hopi were in direct communication. So that was where they placed these first three missions. These missions were controversial, to say the least, to the Hopi tribe, and they resulted in a incident called the Pueblo Rebellion. Now, if you are ever researching history like I am, right, and I'm completely an amateur historian when it comes to these things, I just read stuff that interests me. When you see time periods like this, all right, three missions are all set up in 1629, and then three missions go away in 1680. You can infer that whatever the instigating event, in this case, we're going to set up three missions. All right, these three missions are all grouped together politically. They decided to set up three missions in 1629. And in 1680, all the missions went away. Right? Next week, we're going to cover that. All right, the Pueblo Revolt, the pushback to the right of conquest when the original owners dispute title, right, and decide to take it out on the new owners. So, that all being said, hey guys, thank you very much. I wanted to keep this one short. Definitely not Dan Carlin layers, but because of the eye problem, something like that. This is actually painful, and I'm suffering for my audience. Thank you very much for watching. I want you guys to have a really, really great weekend. Do not go golfing, and if you do, make sure you wear proper safety equipment. And I'll see you guys next week.